All right. Um, my thoughts for practice today, I was kind of thinking about, I try to vary what we do, even though a lot of the poses within Yin are similar. But I do try to have like an organizing principle for the class. And as I was thinking about today, I thought it would be really nice to have a quiet practice. The last time we did a quiet practice, people really enjoyed that. So most everything that we'll do today will be a 3-minute hold, just so you kind of know ahead of time. And once we're set up in the pose and I use my hourglass to time it, I'll talk very little, if at all, so that each of these holds, these 3-minute holds, will almost be like a mini 3-minute meditation where through our class, our mind will get stiller and stiller and stiller. So that's our plan. As far as physically, we'll do a little bit of everything. So it'll be nice stretches for everything. But all of the poses that we're going to do, I just made sure that they're all sustainable and comfortable for 3 minutes. So with that being said, I'd like to start with deer pose, and we'll do that seated upright. And I'm already on a blanket. I'm almost always on a blanket when I'm seated. You can sit on one if you want. We'll have our right shin in front, and then your left shin folded behind you. So right shin in front, left shin folded behind. If it doesn't feel good to have the left shin folded behind you, if your knees don't like that today, then you have the option to lengthen that left leg and do the pose like this. One other thing I'll mention is if you're in deer pose and you wanted to have a little bit of a different shape and maybe a little bit of a turn of your body, you could have a bolster or a pillow to your right side and then turn and lie over the prop. So lots of options as per usual. The thing we'll all have in common is that right shin in front. With this being our first pose, our first 3-minute opportunity, we'll talk a little bit more on this first hold. Just know that at the start of our practice, depending on what we were doing previously in our day, our mind might be really active. And that coming into stillness and quiet, you might notice that a little bit more. All the noise of the mind was already there, but when we slow down and quiet down, it's much more noticeable. So breath by breath, minute by minute, we'll gently and lovingly be turning our awareness more inward. You can sometimes occupy your mind by focusing on your breath. You could also play some gentle music. 3 more cycles of your breath. And after your third breath, we'll take a little stretch. I highly recommend having the legs nice and long and just brush the energy up and down the legs. This is great for circulation. It's great for that mind-body connection. All right, lovely. And then we'll do the other side. So the left shin is the one in front. Remember, your right leg could be lengthened out to the side if you want. The other option is you could stay upright if you wanted to, or you could turn toward the left and lower onto the support of a pillow. And now, as we change sides or move from pose to pose in this more quiet practice, as we get going, you'll want to just really make sure that as you adjust to the new shape or the second side, that we don't move in a way that we cause any ripples, right? So it's almost like if you were in water, you wouldn't want to disturb the water and create waves. We move slowly, intentionally. And your mind both wants and needs this quiet time, this spaciousness. Soften your face, soften your jaw. 2 more cycles of your breath. And then we'll gently, slowly, without creating too much of that wave activity, lengthen our legs, brush the energy so that almost these in between the poses become meditative as well. All right, our next pose will be a lateral dragonfly. So you're bringing your legs a moderate distance apart, not too much, not too little, just right for you today. And I like to start with the prop on my right leg. That way I know that I can always remove it if I want to. I can keep it if I want to, but I almost always start with that. So the prop will be on your right leg. You'll turn and look over your left shoulder. So this is going to get your ribs in line with your legs so that we are in our side body. And then slowly take your time to bring your right ribs toward your right leg. Can rest your head on your hand. And then from here, you can decide, is your prop too high or too low? Maybe you don't want to use it. I'm going to keep it for today. And then your left arm, you can place it overhead and find a way for it to sort of rest on your head. You could take that left arm behind you, maybe tuck it into your waistband to keep it there. Lastly, the option is to rest the hand on your lap. So our 3 minutes have started. This hold, I'm going to be very, very quiet. Listen to the sound of the silence. The quiet, like a comforting blanket. Now keep your head in your hand. And the first thing that will change is that we'll put our left hand on our left leg. Keep your head in your right hand and then use your right hand to help assist your head back up to the center. So again, not creating any waves. And then resting both hands. Take a moment to pause. All right, and then the other side. So you can start with that prop if you'd like. On the left leg, you'll turn and look over your right shoulder. Then think about bringing your left ribs toward your left leg, resting your head in your hand. Deciding what you want to do with that right arm. Same choices, even though you might need to do something slightly different on this side. Now for the 3 minute hold on this side, just notice the sounds in your environment. I know for me, I can hear the ticking of a clock. That's all the sound I really hear. Otherwise, it's very quiet and calm. Softening through the face. We have a few more breaths to go. And then, as we did before, we'll keep our head in our left hand and rest the right hand on your right leg. And then, doing yourself a favor as you assist your head ever so gently back to the center. And then, rest both hands on your lap and pause. All right, so moving slowly, our next pose will be coming down onto the front of our body for Sphinx. So after these seated poses, a gentle back bend is really lovely. If you like to have a block for your head, bring that with you. So as far as our setup, your legs are about hip width apart, elbows under the shoulders or slightly forward. Can have your palms toward each other or palms down. And then most of the time, I like to keep my head in line with my spine, but every now and again, I like a block for my forehead. We'll start our 3 minutes. And regardless of where your head is resting, I want you to think about just putting a nice, cozy blanket over your mind to help quiet the thoughts. We're over halfway there. And then from here, lowering down, rest your head on your hands. And then nice and easy, we'll turn over onto our back. And as you move around, let's locate a couple of blocks or a couple of throw pillows, just in case you may or may not want them, as we come into a reclined butterfly. So the soles of the feet are towards each other, the knees to the side, and you don't need to use props if you don't want to, but know that you could use throw pillows, you could use blocks, you could use blankets, so that you come into that place where it's not too much, it's not too little, it's just right for today. I'll give you another moment or two to settle in, and then we'll come into our 3-minute meditation. An in breath moving in, and the out breath moving out. You're about halfway there. Enjoy the quiet. And then as you're ready, take your time, lengthen your legs, pause here on the floor, and breathe. And now we'll get into our side bodies again with a banana asana. Banana asana has become one of my all-time favorite poses. So you're laying on the ground with both hips, both shoulders on the floor, and then you'll walk your legs over to the right, curve your upper body to the right. And then for some people, You're already where you want to be. For others, you might want to keep the legs side by side, or you might want to cross an ankle on top. For me, I like the right ankle on top, but some of you might prefer the left. Then the other thing to decide is if you want your arms overhead. I can bring in a little upper body component. And you can see today I'm kind of putting a folded blanket over my pelvis just to help soothe and ground me, help quiet my mind. You could try that if you'd like. And we'll start in on our 3-minute mindfulness. And sometimes when we're quiet and still, you can notice the shifting and the changing and the elongating of the tissues on the left side of the body as we hold the pose. Soften into the quiet. Just have a few more breaths. And then we'll come out of the pose, pausing in the center, getting as symmetrical from left to right as possible. Your awareness is very inward. And now we'll do the other side. So the legs over to your left this time, upper body to the left. And then deciding if you want your legs side by side or if you like an ankle on top. Deciding if you want arms overhead. And as we come into our next 3-minute hold, see if maybe it's becoming slightly easier in the quiet, slightly more comfortable. And then coming back to the center, pausing on your back in Shavasana, anatomical neutral. And then eventually getting all snuggled in for final relaxation. So that might be laying here on your back in Shavasana. There may be a different position that you prefer. I highly recommend adding special touches for yourself, like socks or a blanket, dimming the lights, maybe lighting a candle. And all of our mini meditations throughout class have helped prepare you for this moment, this nice, quiet relaxation. Noticing sounds in the room and sounds in the distance, and allowing those sounds to help reconnect you to your environment and to this moment, here and now. Beginning to deepen your breath, move through fingers and toes. And then, in your own time, moving slowly, we'll come to a seated position. And after all of the calm and quiet of our practice, we'll sit for a very brief seated meditation. So, getting comfortable sitting on a prop if you'd like. You can rest your hands on your lap, spine nice and long. Eyes can be open or closed. And we'll sit in the stillness, following the in breath in and the out breath out for about a minute. Feeling free to keep your hands where they are, or you can bring your hands together at your heart. Take a moment to notice the quality of your mind. And I thank you for your practice of yoga.